So you have inherited a challenging class and you're looking for ways to win them over. After working as a supply teacher for quite some time, I can say that this is a problem that I've faced many times, and it is a challenge. Sometimes it can take weeks, sometimes it can be quite quick. Every class is unique. So let's think of some ways that I've solved that problem. First of all, recognise that lessons are not going to go perfectly straight away, and forgive yourself for that. What we can do is we can look at this as an investigation, as really change your mindset on this. We haven't got a problem class that we can't solve. We've got a problem to be solved. And so if we change our mindset on what we're actually doing with this class, it can make a real difference. So the first part of solving any problem is to observe the problem in as much detail as possible. So like I said, every class is unique. So you'll be filled there with unique little individuals who are, challenging. And so first of all, we get to know those individuals. Inside the class is great. If you've got time when you're on break duty, lunch duty, any extracurricular activities, you can really get to know those students on a completely different level. So if at all possible, find out where they hang out, make yourself visible outside of the classroom. Also think about how you look to those students. So often when we face a problem class, we don't realise it, but our facial expressions say a lot. We're feeling inside like, please just behave. And so on our face, what we're saying is, we don't like these students very much. And as the parent of an 11-year-old child, I know that one of the most important things to him is how his teacher feels about him. And so think about how you're coming across to them, set up lessons that you're going to feel really good about. On the topic of setting up lessons, consistency is so important when it comes to a problem class. What are your minimum expectations? And don't bend. It can be frustrating when the students don't meet the minimum expectations, but think about it as a journey that you're on. And the more that they know what you expect, the more likely it is that they will start to meet those expectations. Think about how your lessons begin. If your lessons begin in chaos, with you looking around for resources, with you not being particularly organised, the students know that they've got an opportunity to mess about at that time. So be absolutely tight on what students do as they come into the lesson. Think about, I always try and think Marmite questions. So things that they either love or they hate. An example of this is, should I get my children a pet, is one that I've used in the past. And the students then have a question that is not too easy and not too difficult, something that they can engage with on a personal level. So my lessons always start with questions that get them to think about their own experiences that help them to engage within that lesson. That's consistency. The students know what to expect, and there's something for them to do when they come into the lesson. Think about how you want your lessons to start and really get organised at the beginning. The main part of the lesson, again, what are your minimum expectations? Think about what you're doing and what the students are doing. And when I'm planning lessons, I always try and think about what that student who wants to mess the lesson up will say about this task. So I'm setting it up to think, okay, they'll say this, my action to that will be this. And that really helps me to think through any problems before they actually arise. Again, end of lessons, I'm terrible for getting so involved in the learning that the end of my lessons can be quite frantic as the bell goes and I didn't expect it. So I set a timer at the end of the lessons, just 5 minutes before the end, so that we do have time to reflect, to pack away, to think through any issues, to get prepared for the next lesson. So organisation, really helpful. And I know relationships are key when it comes to winning over a new class, especially a challenging class. So relationships first, organisation of what you're teaching them comes second. A lot of times when I was on supply, I was teaching students things that they already knew, and that's a problem straight away. So I'm trying to think, what do they already know? Where can I set the challenge so that it's not too high, so I don't get that response of, we can't do this, miss, it's too hard. But it's also not too low that it's, miss, we've done this before, it's boring. So I remember I like to teach spoken language, and we can bring that into everything now. It's really lucky being an English teacher that you can do that. But I remember teaching students about paralinguistic features, which is just how we're using our body language, anything that's not spoken, in a way of communicating. But the students were seen as low prior attainment. They were low prior attainment, but often these students around the curriculum were colouring in. And so when we brought in things that were a little bit difficult for them, but actually things that they did in everyday life that they could learn about, that really got their attention. And I could bring it into what they needed to learn as well, for the exam. So think about how you can build the relationships inside and outside of the lesson. Find out as much as you can about those students. Look at their relationships. Really observe what's happening in that classroom, and forgive yourself in those first couple of lessons when things don't go perfectly. They are testing you.